Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about add-ons. I'll be listing all of the add-ons that I use, and I feel that they have become almost a mandatory part of my World of Warcraft experience. I've been using some of the add-ons for a really long time and they really kind of make the game better. I'll be listing some of the specific WeakAuras that I use. My Grid 2 profiles, the WeakAuras that I use as well, are all listed in my Discord. There's a video about how to install them, how to set them up. All the other add-ons will be listed in the description below, where you can just get them and download them and things like that. So keep that in mind. You can read the description if you want some of these configurations. Now, first of all, I'll be going through add-ons that I use. I'll be listing them, and I'll be including some of the configurations, or at least a lot of the questions that I get from stream in terms of how I configure specific add-ons. So first of all, let's look at my damage and healing add-on, and this is something that a lot of people have asked me about. This is details. So first of all, I have nothing bad to say about details. Ever since I installed details in Legion, I just never stopped using it because it's so good. It's been configured or it's been updated so many times. You have different options to use different skins. It's very easy to use. You can have multiple windows open at the same time, like I have healing and damage done. I know other add-ons can do that as well, but I feel this does it really well. And from my personal experience, I feel details represents the true damage or the true healing, or at least the log, the damage and healing is as closely represented to what you see on Warcraft logs, at least from my personal experience. So I feel details is really strong. Plus you have all these kind of gimmicky options where you can change your name to something else to troll with other people as well. So, and not only that, I feel details has another component that is extremely popular, and people have asked me about this probably on a daily basis. They've asked me about, how do I get this little screen showing up? Every time I cast a specific spell, I have this kind of like an event log happening, and this event log is basically meant to be for streamers, because it is part of details add-on itself. It's under the streamer settings, and it's called streamer plugin action tracker. So it's an additional component to your damage healing meters, which kind of is very popular among everyone else. So basically what it does is shows what your previous ability was cast. I mean, you don't have to be a streamer to want this, because I feel it's really cool. And the simple configurations that I have here are, I mean, I didn't really change that much. I just changed the height and just transparency. So this is the options. These are my specific options that I use for detailed streamer plugin. And I feel it fits really nicely, and I feel it really works when you're streaming and people want to see what abilities you're casting. You don't have to be a streamer to actually get this. And this is one of the most asked add-ons that like most people are interested in when they watch the stream. Now, let's look at another add-on that people are extremely interested. So first of all, you see when I cast any healing abilities, you see this little bar, or at least this little event log again, showing how much I healed. My critical abilities are kind of shown here. And if I go and actually take some damage from any of these dummies, you can see that I have, like, well, it's not really hitting me because the level is way lower, but you can see I've missed, dodge, absorb, and all of the log is kind of showing up here and here. And I feel it's very clean, very nice, and I think it looks really kind of neat. And I feel that's what combat log or combat number add-ons should really look like. And this is called XCT. This is called XCT, and it's a very simple add-on to configure. Not very simple, I mean, I only change this. I basically go into XCT and I go into move, and I basically move my healing incoming in here, I move my damage incoming in here, and my outgoing critical around here. And that's all I basically did. You can change the sizes and things like that. You can move them anywhere you want. I just move them around here, and that's about it. And I feel that there is a lot of configurations you can do, but I really did not myself mess around with it that much. And I feel it actually looks really nice without that much of extra configuration needed. And you can change it all the way you want. Again, this is one of the most popular add-ons asked again. Now, another big portion of the whole UI is ELV UI. Now, ELV UI is like an add-on package that almost requires, well, it actually does require a separate client to actually update or install your ELV UI or TUC UI, on top of the fact that probably most people are using the Twitch client where you can download add-ons automatically. The same kind of thing happens to ELV UI. And one of the reasons why ELV UI is so popular, and one of the reasons why I use ELV UI, is because It's relatively easy to configure. I mean, you have the LVI options here, and you can do whatever you want. I mean, I don't use everything. Like, for example, I don't really use the bags. I don't have them enabled. I don't really use the unit frames. At least I have them enabled here, but I don't use unit frames for raids. I don't use raid unit frames. And I don't use nameplates as well, so they're disabled. So I use LVI, but I don't use every single package. And one of the reasons why LVI is really popular, because it's updated very often. And a big issue with a lot of the add-ons is when a new raid comes out or a new patch comes out, and they take few days, maybe week, to update, and you're stuck with a game where there's tons of errors happening all the time, to an extent sometimes even unplayable. And you never really get that with LVI because it's always updated. The team behind LVI are very, very good, and they always update stuff. I mean, I haven't really configured this a lot. I mean, I go to things like general options. There's nothing, I mean, if I go to general options for the action bars, you can see that I have it on key down. So action button keybinds will respond on a key down rather than on a key up. And I feel it's a bit quicker if you have a key down. I mean, it's it's not very noticeable, but a lot of people use the key down response, and I'll talk about this later on again with CLIQUE or CLIQUE add-on. But that's probably the only thing that I've really configured. I use default chat. I mean, the skins are kind of default. Like I mentioned before, I don't use the bags, I don't use the nameplates, and I talk about which ones I use later on. Now, if you want to actually move around, you can just toggle anchors, and you can move any of these. My player debuffs are here, which are very important. I feel knowing which debuffs you have is like one of the most important things in 5-man or raid scenarios. So I try to make that relatively big and not surrounded by anything else beside my player frame. So besides that, like, I mean, I can move my talking head frame and move it somewhere outside where it's not going to bother me. But it's really highly customizable, and it really works well. And this is the reason why LVI is basically the core of my whole user experience in World of Warcraft, and there's nothing bad to say about this. Now, I mentioned I don't use LVI bag add-on because I use ADIBAGS, and and I get this asked a lot. So what ADIBAGS does by default, I've not really changed anything. Now in Legion it was different because I used to have a specific section for legendaries. I don't really need to have that anymore. So right now what it does is basically separates my armor, it separates my jewelry, it separates my sets. So these are the items that I use for my Windwalker, for my Mistweaver or whatever. It's separated here. It separates my weapons and things like that. So I can have a better overview of my bags and things like that. And I feel ADIBAGS is really, really cool add-on. I don't think, in my opinion, this is the best bag add-on, but I mean, everything's personal opinion. Keep that in mind. All the add-ons that I use are perfect for me, but they might not be perfect for you. But I feel this is a really, really, really neat add-on. Now, I also mentioned that I don't use LVI nameplates. I use QI nameplates. So if you're not sure how to, I'm just going to open up the interface menu, and QI nameplates are right here. Now, QI nameplates, you can see here, I think they look pretty neat. I think they're actually a really good looking add-on. Also, the fact that, you know, you can configure with like QI spell list, you can configure which spells you want to, or debuffs or buffs or whatever you want to show on the nameplates as well. Like for my Boomkin, I have Moonfire, Sunfire, and things like that. See, let's say the boss has it's a huge model, and the nameplate's at the very top, and you can't see the enemy's HP, which can be a problem. In the section for CVARs, I've configured it to some extent. I'm using these specific settings. So basically, if I go close to the, but let's say this boss is absolutely huge. If I actually zoom in, you can see that my nameplates or the HP bar is kind of still visible. Even let's say the boss was really huge, it's still visible all the time. So I feel this is a big advantage as well, or at least one of the configuration options that a lot of people have asked me about. And with the settings that I mentioned previously, it's working perfect. So even if the boss is huge, I will always see the player name frames. Of course, this target is not that big, so it doesn't even matter at all. But overall, I really like QI nameplates, and also the fact that QI nameplates, I feel that when you enable friendly nameplates, it has the nicest look. I almost wish this was the default look of when you enable friendly nameplates. Now, the fact is that friendly nameplates with QI nameplates is only available outside of 5-mans and raids, because there was a big kind of craziness surrounding Star Augur back in the day when QI nameplates became super popular, because they used to have an option of displaying debuffs or buffs to certain players when friendly nameplates were enabled. So Blizzard eventually disabled friendly nameplates for QI nameplates in 5-mans and raids. So you can't have the same look when you do a dungeon. But overall, I wish that this was the default look in World of Warcraft because it looks so cool. Now let's look at some of the miscellaneous add-ons that I feel are still extremely useful. So world quest list. So if I actually go to Kultiris and I'm wondering which world quests I should be doing, I'm using an add-on called world quest list. Now a lot of people, at least at the start, I wasn't sure whether I liked the whole UI aspect of this, of showing add-ons in a list or something like that. I almost prefer to have a map. Oh, by the way, the way that my map looks like, people have asked a lot about this as well, and this is called quest map with details. That's the whole add-on. This is quest map with details, and this is world quest list. So keep that in mind if you want to get the whole look and feel of this. Now overall, like I mentioned, I wasn't a huge fan of the UI element, but I feel it has grown on me to a big extent that I really enjoyed the look of it. For the fact, maybe I just want to do Champion of Azeroth, so I kind of go into like Stormsong Valley or something, and I see this as Champion of Azeroth quest at the very bottom here, and I just want to do that, and I'll go there. Like, quick filtering is amazing. It's really good. I can see the rewards for all of the zones. I can see that the King's Rest is going to give me a nice item. I can see that Mudload is going to give me a nice item if I want to do it. And if I actually want to do any of the quests, I have this quick join option. Now, quick join option, a quick update. Blizzard has disabled the one-click options that used to be available in Legion. I don't know why they did that, but now what add-ons have to do is basically you still have to do a manual step. So if I want to join this add-on, I need to enter the ID of this quest. Once I enter the ID of this quest, I can search for groups and I can just click them and join them straight away. Now, I'm not getting auto-invited from this group. No, I got invited straight away. So now I can do this quest with other people and I can get, you know, it's going to be done quicker in a group. In Legion, it used to be like a auto accept option. Blizzard has disabled that, and no add-on in the market or no add-on for World of Warcraft will allow you to have this one-click auto join feature. You have to do some kind of manual input. Overall, this still is really good, and this add-on provides you with really quick search feature for quests, and I feel this kind of makes quests quicker and more fun. Well, not more fun, but you get them out of the way quicker, so that's the whole fun of it. So that's world quest list. Now, this to the same extent, I also have Champion Commander for follower missions. Now, if you're doing follower missions, you want to get the highest success chance. Maybe you want to make it more automated, and this is what Champion Commander does. Have not configured it at all. I want to just have the best success chance, and I just want to have a manual, or sorry, I want to have a automatic option to this whole feature, and that's what Champion Commander does. And it's one of the add-ons that I just use, and I kind of forget about it that I'm actually using it. Now, another add-on that was suggested to me for pre-made groups, for finding groups, for finding pugs, for 5-mans raids and things like that, and that is pre-made group finder or pre-made group filter. And pre-made group filter is actually, it has really grown on me over the time. It seems to be really good, because let's say, for example, I'm a healer, I'm looking for a group. Let's say I'm looking for a group that may or may not have a tank, but I'm looking for a group that does not have a healer. So I set healer maximum 0. So there's no healer in this group. So I'm searching every group that has no healer. I can type in on the filters, like say I'm looking for a +9 because I'm looking to get +9 key or +10 key done. So all of a sudden I'm looking at every dungeon or every group for a +9 or +8 or a +10, somewhere in that region, for a group that does not have a healer. Now, if I don't want to wait that long, I can type in for tanks for minimum having 1 tank. So this, now I'm going to click search, and it's going to find me a group with all tanks and no healers. So now these are the groups that are just looking for healers. I probably can find them straight away. I don't have to look for a tank, and they're +9 keys as well. And on top of that, you can actually go over the groups and you can see the composition of the group. Like this group has a paladin tank, has a shaman warrior, and mage as a DPS. So you can actually see what group might be missing, whether the group comp and things like that. So again, pre-made group filter, really good, surprisingly really good. I didn't think I was going to like this add-on as much, but I feel this is almost as mandatory as they come, in terms of if you pug a lot and if you want to find groups straight away. This is really strong add-on in my opinion. Now let's look at my healing setup. So a lot of people have looked at my grid 2 profiles, like I have a grid 2 profiles for every healer. And grid 2 is the add-on that I use. Now, there is nothing wrong with LVUI nameplates or LVUI unit frames. I just haven't had the time to really look into them. So I've spent a lot of time looking at grid 2. I know the grid 2 configurations. I know how to do a lot of the things with grid 2. So I feel they're really strong. Another fact about grid 2 that people kind of miss out on is the raid debuffs. A lot of people ask me, how do I show raid debuffs when I'm using grid? If you have your grid 2 updated, you can go to statuses, you can go to debuffs, you can go to raid debuffs, and make sure that in the general settings you have Battle for Azeroth ticked. In my example, I'm using the mythic version of the journal to find out the debuffs, or at least it seems like. So I'm using the mythic. You can use heroic, whatever. It really doesn't matter that much. So after that, after you have that enabled, you can go to default configuration or debuff configuration, and you can select Battle for Azeroth, and then you can go through, like, if you want a Tal Desire freehold, or if you want to, you can go through Ulde and you can go to Talak and you decide, oh, I don't need Bloodstorm on this, I'm gonna disable it, or wait, I actually need this, so I'm gonna enable it. So you can go through all the debuffs that you actually want to display or not display, and you can select them. And I feel that's a really cool option. You don't have to manually enter all of the debuffs. So I feel this is a direct advantage, or at least grid 2 seems really nice in that aspect anyways. So keep that in mind. If you can't see the debuffs, try and update an add-on, go to debuffs, raid debuffs, and see how it goes. Now, the disadvantage, I guess, of grid 2, if you want to have this mouse over kind of effect where you don't want to target the actual target and then heal them, which is it's not a very recommended way of healing. And if you're starting healing, if you're a new healer, don't try and get into this habit of having to select a target and then having to heal them. Mouse over macros or CLIQUE, in my opinion, which is the better option, because it's way easier. So when I say CLIQUE, it's actually pronounced click, but it's written CLIQUE. You can see it here. It's an amazingly simple add-on that you basically just open your spell book, your click is going to be here, and basically what you do, let's say you want to keybind your Renewing Mist to your left mouse button, which is what I do. So I bind Renewing Mist to my left mouse button. So every time I left click on my frames, it's gonna cast Renewing Mist. I don't have to select the target and then click it. I can just mouse over the frames and do it, which makes it much faster and more efficient. And again, it's really pretty strong. Now, again, another configuration that I did in this, when I click on options and click at general options, I have trigger bindings on the down portion of the click. So again, with the LVUI, I have activated the buttons when on the key down instead of key up. I feel it's a little bit faster. I mean, it's a small note. It's not very noticeable, but I try to do that as well. And attempt to fix the issues introduced in 4.3 with casting on dead target. So sometimes if I don't have this selected, and if someone dies in the party, my whole click kind of breaks if I try to cast something or click on the dead target. So this is something to alleviate with some of the issues with Blizzard, or with some of the issues that happen over time, and I feel this is really strong. Now, WeakAuras, and WeakAuras are huge. WeakAuras are a very big portion of my gameplay, and I use a lot of WeakAuras. So first of all, the WeakAuras that I use for my Mistweaver are taken from Mago. They're all listed on my Discord, so that I've modified them to some extent. But overall, the two WeakAuras that I really want to recommend, the Uldir WeakAuras by Causes. I got them from mago.io. You can see them here. It basically lists any of the debuffs that you get, or any of the mechanics where you need to move, you need to get out, spread, stack, or whatever. It just tells you on your screen. I feel to some extent this almost reduces the effectiveness of your DBM or bigwigs to some extent. Like, I mean, if you're just interested in debuffs that are happening to you, what you have to do, I feel these WeakAuras are extremely efficient. And then, you know, if you want, you can have DBM or WeakAuras as well on top of that. But I cannot praise these WeakAuras more. And on top of the fact that I also got another WeakAuras that is BfA dungeon targeted spells. And this WeakAura, it mainly works, or at least I mainly use it for 5-man dungeons. And in 5-man dungeons, this WeakAura will basically showcase on my grid 2. I think it actually works with any frames, any of the frame add-ons available, including the default Blizzard frame. It basically shows a little icon where it indicates that that target is, maybe there's a spell cast maybe an enemy is about to use their spells on this target, and this target is about to take some damage. So I can look at my grid profile and I can see this, and I'm preparing to heal that person, or I'm preparing to maybe, you know, to target that person for specific heals and things like that. So this kind of keeps me ahead, or at least a few steps ahead in terms of the damage that players are gonna take. And I feel this works really, really well in 5-man dungeons. I feel it's really, really strong. And I mean, it can seem that my grid 2 might be a little bit cluttered, but I feel it really works for me. So it might work for you as well. Again, I cannot praise this more. Overall, this has been a video of all of my add-ons. I know there's a couple of add-ons that I haven't really covered. Like, for example, about the healer stat weights add-on, which you can see here right now. I feel I could almost make a video by itself on how to use it and things like that. Again, if you're a healer, I highly recommend people to use healer stat weights add-on. It basically tells you which secondary or which primary stats are really, really strong for you. Well, it tells you how strong your secondaries are to your primary. And again, a lot of people ask about which secondaries are strong, and this add-on can be really, really good about this. But I don't want this to go for too long. So this has been an overview of all the add-ons that I used, or majority of the add-ons that I feel most people are interested in. Some of the configurations that I use, everything's listed in the description. My UI or my grid 2 and some of the WeakAuras that, or tell me whens that I use for my other healers, they're all listed on my Discord and things like that. Check them out. If you have any questions, leave comments either here or on Discord. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.